Testing. Afternoon, we're not evening yet. No, it's evening already. Okay. Good evening, everyone. And wow, it's 6 o'clock already, so it was a long day for all of us. Thank you for bearing with us. We shall wrap the day with our sixth session, and we have three amazing participants. The first one is Dr. Oleg Dmitriev, followed by Dr. Lina Isa, our guest from Syria, and our home guest, Ms. Rindala Jabour. So, our session today, or our sixth session that is going to wrap the day, is going to be about the characteristics of the current media landscape. So, please join me welcoming Dr. Oleg Dmitriev. He's joining us via Zoom. Dr. Oleg is the first presenter. His presentation is about technology of the audience-oriented content shift for Russian-based alternative media on the basis of Sputnik and RT content. As I said, that his presentation is delivered online via Zoom, and Professor Dr. Oleg Dmitriev is the deputy head of the School of Media at HSC, University Moscow. Dr. Oleg, are you all set, technically speaking? Can we have them online? Shall we? Okay. So sometimes technology deceives us, you know. So we're going to start with our guest participant from Syria, Dr. Lina Isa. Please take the stage.
Thank you. كيف بقدر أشاركه على الشاشة؟ ايه بس هون موجودة هون أنا بدي على الشاشة.
علي؟
في اللي لابس أحمر هداك بيعرف يعملها.
بدي شير سكرين يا علي. بدي شير سكرين. شير سكرين
Yes. واللي لابس أحمر أنا يعرف يعملها. تمام. تمام. Now it's okay. Okay. تمام. Good evening. This is Dr. Lina from Syria, the head of TV department, Faculty of Media, Damascus University. It's a great honor for me to participate in this international conference about digital media and innovative media industry. Participation in this international conference is a wonderful opportunity for all of us to gain knowledge about new media as we live in technology era. Before I start, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all organizers of this international conference for a great organizing and warm welcome and special thanks to Dr. Hatem Zain for answering all my questions immediately. My topic is social media as a news source and its impact on traditional journalism. Objectives of this presentation: to provide understanding of how social media has been used as a news source, to provide understanding the influence of new media on traditional mass communication at two levels: producing and distributing of the content, to identify the challenges faced by traditional journalism because the advent of new technologies and new media, to highlight the pros and cons of new media, to identify the challenges faced by innovative media industry. Because the advent of new technologies and digital media, the relationship between mainstream media and its audience is changing. So what is digital media? In brief, whenever we use our computer, our cell phone, laptop, iPad, etc., we are consuming digital media, digital text, digital images, and videos, etc. And that content is transmitted by internet and networks. It's called also citizen journalism, because before the advent of new media and digital media, the communication was only one way. From the producer or the people only receive information. But now, with the advent of new media, the communication is two ways. The people are producers and transmitter. And this is the most advantages of new media, about interactivity. So new media can provide immediate informative and interactive platform. There are many digital companies, YouTube, Insta, Facebook, etc. But I will focus in my presentation on social media. Because social media, it's not surprising to get, for the social media to get popularity and acceptance in the society. Because can social media help people to create their own story with the global reach and little cost. I will show you some examples for the role of social media, especially during a crisis. The first advantages of social media, especially during a crisis, it's a main news source for audience and as well as for the mainstream media. Why I talk about crisis, such as earthquake, flood, bombing, etc. Because the nature of this event and the greater need of the audience for information quickly make the social media can provide this information quickly. And the people who are at the location when the event or crisis is happening or in progress can provide visual representation of what is happening in the way mainstream media or journalists cannot. For example, all of you know about these pictures, about Syrian crisis, about Syrian refugees. That journey was, or it's still, is very dangerous because it happened in midnight and in illegal way. The refugees, Syrian refugees, search for a better life in Europe. So they cross the sea. The direction will be from Syria, Turkey, Greece, etc., Serbia, to reach Europe. And because this journey, and most of them with young children, and because of this journey, it happens at the midnight and in illegal way, so mainstream media cannot cover what is happening. So here, the role of social media. The people or the refugees can share their experience about.
Continue.
Finish here? Oh, okay, thank you. The people can share their experience about this journey, and because of their stories on social media, people start get awareness. So social media creates awareness among people about the risk of this journey. Anyone know about this picture? About Hungarian camera woman? No one? Okay. This is another example of the role of social media, or how social media can help to take action against people who break the human rules. This Hungarian camera woman was filming, she was working for a TV channel, and she was filming the migrants with the border of Serbia, Syrian refugees. When they reach to Serbia at the border, so she was filming them, and she tried, was filming them, she tried to kick them. See? She tried to kick them, one man with his daughter, and also another man carrying his child. And other journalists take picture for her. And in a few minutes, this picture spread to all over the world. And immediately, she lost her job. And the manager of TV channel said she did unacceptable behavior. Anyone know about this picture? Yes, all of you. That's great. About Ryan from Morocco, because of social media, his village doesn't have water. And because of social media, and people make a hashtag Save Ryan, his government tried to take action for him. And later on, his government provide water to his village. So that's what Connect mainstream media do. So in the crisis also, the big advantages for social media, always the crisis provides unknown dead people. And by sharing their picture on social media, many families know about them. I did this small research, or short research, in my college about new media and mainstream media, with a few questions and 70 respondents of professor and students. I asked them only these 5 questions. What is the news source you use the most? How long do you use social networks? To what extent do you trust the online information? Is the online media threatening the extent of traditional media? Should government control the new media? 80% of respondents use internet more than other mainstream media, radio or TV or print media. And 80% use social media daily. And 65% confirm that social media or new media create the traditional journalism. The problem with social media, to what extent do you trust the online information? 95% don't trust the news that they see on the internet. Last question. It's still unclear. Should government control the new media? 62 of the respondents said the government should control the media, the new media, and 38 they confirm new media or social media should be free. Now in brief, I will tell you about advantages and disadvantages of new media on traditional journalism or mainstream media. Mainstream media, because of new media, increase viewership, interact with the leaders, search for information, and can reach for global market. About negative effects, economic pressure and decline in revenues and inability to produce real-time updates. Report by FCC show the growth of new media or online audience against mainstream media. Now, I recognize the word in this conference about innovative media industry. So I will discuss in brief about the challenges of innovative digital media industry. The first of all, we should recognize the differences between creativity and innovative. These two terms are not the same. Creativity is about coming up with a new idea, and innovation implementing this new idea by using new technologies to get new values. So as Abdul Wahab said in 2012, creativity plus work equal innovative. The most challenges faced digital media industry, they should understand the audience. The audience of new media is different from the audience of mainstream media. This audience have, new media audience have their phone, they have ability to get information immediately, etc. And they can share their opinion and views anytime, even they are not journalists. And another benefits of digital media innovative. Mainstream media should try to create or to get benefits of digital media or digital technologies. For example, all of you know about podcast? Yeah. This application is available as radio station available with the audio file. For example, they can radio station make their content available on podcast to reach to large market. Conclusion, it's important to know that social media is not replacing journalism, but it's adding another layers of information to existing new sources. New media has reshaped journalism in different way. It has changed journalism and how people receive their news. With the freedom of opinion and advantages of immediate news and global distribution, make digital media much more rewarding. There are both advantages and disadvantages for government control of the media. Social media has some cons like credibility, accuracy, ethical problems, and censorship. Before I finish الحكي هلا بالعربي هذا الجزء أنا عندي هلا موضوع للنقاش يعني بدي أسألكم فيه إنه فيما بعد يا ريت تكون في عنا فرصة للنقاش بهي الفكرة. هلا في قسم كبير بأيد وجود السوشيال ميديا إنه كان في قواعد للإعلام وقوانين للإعلام مثلا على سبيل المثال ما لازم ننشر صور للأطفال الميتين أو صور مرعبة إلى آخره. هذا الشيء قواعد موجودة بالإعلام التقليدي. بس هلا مع وجود السوشيال ميديا ما في قوانين ولا في قواعد. ممكن ننشر الناس تشارك أي قصة بتصير معه خاصة أثناء الحروب أثناء الأزمات إلى آخره. الفكرة هل إنه السوشيال ميديا لازم يكون بيتبع نفس القوانين والقواعد ويخفف من هذا المحتوى ولا لا يكون بنفس الحرية وإنه يقدر ينشر بشكل معه كامل الحرية؟ لشارككم شو الفكرة. مثلا هلا اللي عم يصير هلا مع أهلنا بغزة الله ينصرهم ويرحم جميع الشهداء. من كتر الكم الكبير من الحزن والصور المحزنة اللي أنا صار معي صدقا لما الأم عم تحكي عن الطفل إنه أبيضان وشعره حلو. كلكم بتعرفوا القصة، أبيضان وشعره حلو. شو اسم الطفل؟ يوسف. أبيضان وشعره حلو. صدقا أنا ما قدرت أنسى، ضل صوته بإذني وما قدرت أنسى، حتى أثرت كتير بنفسيتي لدرجة إنه في ناس في قسم كبير إنه أنا بقيت تتفرجي. يعني شوفوا قد ايه صار عندنا السلبية بالجمهور، إنه خلص ما في داعي تشوفي هذا المحتوى، وفي منهم قسم كبير يقولون نحن ما بنتابع مشان ما نتأثر، مشان ما يعني ما تنتزع نفسيتهم بهذا المحور. فأنا هذا الموضوع تركته للنقاش أو لحتى أنتم تفكروا فيه، إنه أنا بعتبر إنه السوشيال ميديا بالعكس هي ورجتنا الحقيقة بشكل أكبر، اللي كانت الإعلام التقليدي ما يقدر يورجينا بهذا الشكل. هلأ بالنهاية أنا بتمنى الأمن والسلام للبنان ولسوريا ولكل الدول العربية، وخاصة بالوقت الحالي لأهلنا بغزة، لأنه الكم الكبير من الحزن يعني ما في عقل بيتحمله ولا في قلب بيقدر يشوف هذا الكم الكبير من الوجع. فكيف هن اللي عايشين بهذا الوجع؟ نتمنى لهم يعني أضعف الإيمان، نحن عم ندعي لهم، والقوة هو يعني نحن باجتماعنا العلم هو قوة، عم نحاول دائما نتذكره. وبالنهاية كل الشكر لجامعة المعارف لجمعنا بهذا اليوم لنتناقش بهذا الموضوع المهم، لأن نحن هلا بعصر الإعلام الرقمي. صدقا أنا حضرت أكثر من مؤتمر بأكثر من مكان، صدقا أنا ما حسيت بهذا الجو بدي أقول لكم الجو الدافئ، السكينة، الطمأنينة اللي موجودة بهي الجامعة. بتمنى كل الكادر دائما على وجه الابتسامة، واللي هي أنا بعتبرها هي الابتسامة أهم جزء عنا اللي بتميزنا نحن كبشر كناس كإنسان. كلياتهم كانوا مبتسمين، بيرحبوا بشكل كتير حلو. جامعة كان الكادر فيها كله كعائلة. بتمنى لهم كل التوفيق، وإن شاء الله تقدروا تعملوا مؤتمرات أكثر وأكثر بعدة مجالات. كل التوفيق. شكرا.
Dr. Lin, thank you very much. Definitely your contribution was food for thought, and you left us with loads of information to ponder upon. And thank you for sharing your sentiments towards us as Al-Ma'arif and towards Palestine, nonetheless. We move forward now with the second speaker, as I believe we do have Dr. Oleg ready with us online. Are we technically ready this time with the second go?
And after that, we'll start talking.
Okay, Dr. Oleg, good evening from Beirut.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
good evening, I guess, from wherever you are, in Moscow, I believe. Are you?
Yes, I'm in Moscow, Russia, at the very heart of Moscow.
So you're
And
ahead of time.
it's a pleasure for me to see all of you here. Unfortunately, I could not come in person, and just welcome from the snowy capital of the world. Now we have like minus 15 in Moscow and heaps of snow, which is very unusual in December. Well, warm welcome from the Russian capital. And I'm doing the research as the person who is both media professional with a Sputnik News agency, and I'm also the deputy director of media department at High School of Economics in Moscow. So the topic of my research is closely connected with what we are doing right now. And this is the global alternative media that we are trying to built here in Moscow, here in Russia, because we have two world famous or world notorious, that depends on the editorial policy of the people of many stations. We have two world famous or world notorious channels. These are this is Sputnik News Agency and RT. And from what we perceive, that we can be called global alternative media, because we are the ones that are opposing the mainstream with various tools, with various multimedia innovations. So this is how we are trying to get our message across. So in order to understand what alternative media is, we need to address the work of Noam Chomsky, the American activist who is never on the mainstream media, who is criticizing the mainstream government, the mainstream platform, the works of Chris Atom, who founded the ground for alternative media against the mainstream in the global news. And this notion was developed by Kristen Fuchs and Gershon Bailey. So what are the main causes of alternative news, alternative point of view? Alternative media globally tries to find stories that are never, that have no chance to go to the mainstream media. For example, now it's completely impossible to find news about Russia on the mainstream media channels. You can find only things connected with the Ukrainian conflict, but Russia is much bigger than that. So the features on the alternative news are news from the bottom, so news about the people, news about the people who make history, and so on and so forth. Also, we have critical approach to the mainstream media, because they do not reveal many facts which are true. So they hide many facts about the environment which seems hostile to them. And we also pay lots of attention to what is called viral approach. Just what do I mean by this? We use social networks and other resources, especially when we were blocked in 2022 from when Russia was blocked from the mainstream broadcasting. I mean, internet, you can't find Russian mainstream, Russian state media on YouTube, on other channels, on other platforms. That's why we need to build alternative resources to reach the audiences in various parts of the world, including Africa, including Southeast Asia, including Latin America and other parts of the world. So that is why it's impossible to find RT or Sputnik on Facebook. So as an alternative, the Russian-based service called Telegram is very handy these days, because many news outlets, be it mainstream or be it alternative, can really use their Telegram accounts or Telegram channels to get the message across from Russia. Before 2022, before 2022, that was the alternative mainstream, the alternative media in Russia really tried to accumulate the so-called news junkies, people who consume the news in many parts of the world, and they wanted as many news as possible. And it was important to create the community around the alternative media in Russia, just like RT, just alternative international media in Russia, just like RT, just like Sputnik, and so on and so forth. But in 2022, Russia experienced the mainstream block from other channels. Well, there were false propaganda accusations. So my attitude towards propaganda is that what the whole world calls propaganda. I call this an editorial policy. And there was a block of online accounts and the TV signals, which was also the case. And that faced the Russian alternative media with a very great choice what to do, because if you are blocked, period. This is something that has not happened in the world. So how do you change the strategy? How do you change the strategy when half of the content is blocked and you will never be able to recover the access to that part of audience, the audience that loved you once, but now, since you're not there, they don't love you anymore. They don't know who you are, they don't know how they can locate you, and so on and so forth. And that is why Russian alternative international media trying to change the strategy in how to get the message across. Also, very important thing is that the media outlets decided to look at regionalization, at various regions to get their local content across. In addition to building websites and social networks, the Russian alternative media tried to work with academic communities and with professionals to explain what kind of content they have, what kind of content they want to get, what kind of expertise they want to get from the Russian alternative media. And also innovations are very important in the process. How to influence with the audience with videos, with 360 videos, or with infographics, with podcasts. So this is something that we wanted to make sure. Well, this is how our team website looks like. So there you see that the idea was to get the button for each major target audience. This is Africa and India, where we have a separate website in Spanish, French, Chinese, Arabic, and so on and so forth. They also have the regions that they try to come across. And here you can find news about Russia, the different approach to the matters in the world, something which you will not find in the New York Times and other things. And also we have the segmented sections, not just on the websites, but on the social networks as well. For example, there is a special section on Africa, special section on India, special section on other parts of the world in other languages. And also, it's very important to show the visual product, which is high quality. That's why there is a section on the website called RT Documentary Channel, which you can see in English. And the reason for this is not just the popularity of the video, but the popularity of other innovative tools, just like 360 video, which seems to be on demand, on the wide basis. All right. So this is how the RT looks like: videos, news, alternative news, and so on and so forth. With Sputnik website, the segmentation is also important, and there are lots of content, visual content, infographics connected with the military news, something which is very well read in other parts of the world. So before, the Americans were reading a lot about Russian defense, Russian things. Now there is a very popular section in Sputnik India, in Sputnik News Agency, about that. Then we have a section with lots of multimedia explanations on what exactly stands behind the world affairs. Things like that are like happening in the Middle East and so on and so forth. And multimedia is also very important. What parts of multimedia are there? Lots of videos, especially of the military kind, and also infographics, which are very, very good for telling the story in a bigger detail, like on Russian grain exports, on new weapons, on what is happening in the Middle East, on who bombed the pipelines, and so on and so forth. Infographics is the innovation that help us to visualize the stories in the ways that nobody has ever come across. So, and these infographics appear not just on the websites, but you can find them in Telegram channels and other things, and these are very well exploited. What else is there? Well, actually, the pictures, sometimes the picture galleries, when the picture is shot very well professionally, can be used in the form of a slideshow, in the form of the narration behind the pictures, behind the slideshow. So these are the elements that are very well thought through, and they work very well through for other types of audiences. And the videos as well. Also, the podcasts can be really popular when they try to get the local audience. So that is the strategy that Russian international alternative media are trying to explore. Relations between content and technology are very important, because for each piece of technology, for each piece of innovation, you need a different storytelling technique, which you should not forget, especially maps, especially like visualizations, especially good storytelling with either a storyteller on camera or doing his own blog. So, but every time there has to be a relation between content and technology. The content should be more user-friendly, it should be more regionalized, because now we study the consumption in Africa much more, the consumption in Latin America and in other parts of the world. So, and also what our mission is to provide the expertise about the world to the audiences that live in various countries in Africa, in Latin America, and Southeast Asia. So that's basically my presentation. So should you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Does anyone have any question here among the audience? All right, I do have a question. Well, you've mentioned earlier that you're talking about news from the bottom. Can we get more information about that? What do you mean by news from the bottom? Are we talking here about the power model, like bottom up, or in return to the top-down model of news?
Officials is something which is a very typical characteristic of the mainstream. That's why I think that's the job of alternative media, is to get the news from various layers of the society, on how they look upon things, on how they really want to portray this world, and so on and so forth. Let me give you an example which happened in January 2021. So the Sputnik guys were covering the protests on the Capitol Hill. And you might see the pictures that were typical all over the world. For example, you saw people with horns like that on the screen on the Capitol Hill, like all these people that seem to many like freaks or something. But the strategy of Sputnik journalists was to get to the real people who were protesting in the streets of Capitol Hill, in Capitol Hill. And it turned out that they managed to find some teachers from the state of Ohio, from other states, that came to support Donald Trump because they are confident that Trump was the only president who cared about the teachers that live in the states from hand to mouth. So we managed to find these people. So, this story never got to CNN. This story has never got to Russian national television, to European television. So that was the news from the bottom strategy, because sometimes you might get a different perspective on the news and global affairs. And so when we talked to these people, we used lots of podcasts, we used lots of interviews with them, and also people did infographics on how these protests were going on. So this is what I mean by the news from the bottom. Thank you so much.
Clearly, one last question, just to make us understand the discourse better. So, in your opinion, do you think that this shift was encouraged by the situation, the geopolitical situation that took place in 2021, or was it solely by journalistic effort put by Sputnik and RT?
Well, actually, the thing is that in 2022 we experienced the complete block of content from Russia to the rest of the world. Something that might not be expected, something which in my mind violates all the basic principles of freedom of speech. And it was acknowledged by such people as Elon Musk and others who seem to be free speech absolutists. I think so. In this case, when you are blocked, you are blocked. You can't do anything. You can have lots of discussions on how bad it is, but they block you. They block your content completely. So what to do is to seek audience in other platforms, in Telegram, in in the social networks in other countries, in China, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, in other social platforms that you can provide your expertise about how to do the world news, and people will really respond to that. So that's my basic idea.
Dr. Olaf, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
And here we reach the end of our day with Mr. Indala Jabour. Welcome on board, and thank you for closing the day with us.
Organizers at Al Ma'arif University, fellow lecturers, participants, students, dear attendees. The world we live in today has imposed on each one of us two identities, our real one and our digital one. This duality is the result of the invasion of planet Earth by the virtual space through the internet. After all, as we speak, more than 4 billion people are connected to the internet. Half of our planet, therefore, has two identities. Our original identity is who we basically are, what name and what family we were born into, our age, the link that define relationships, the traditions of our society, the aspects of our geography, the specification we manifest, and the legacies we carry. It is the summary of the experiences we go through in the real world. Our digital identity, on the other hand, is the one we display ourselves with, notably on social media, and through which we connect with other identities, some of them being real, others virtual. Our digital identity goes way beyond our narrow community. And though it is possible for us to have both of our identities similar to one another, it is also likely that they diverge. This new identity can be summed up in the picture we choose for ourselves, the name we give our profile, the information we share with followers, and the way we look behind screen. We have also been given the choice of having an e-signature nowadays, and it is a completely sovereign identity. We are the ones who choose it with utter freedom and independence, and we are the ones who shape it, therefore becoming our own self-makers the way we wish to be. We are consequently faced with three basic cases. The first one, a digital identity that is consistent with our real one, displaying our name, picture, and ideas in a way that is similar, whether in real life or on the internet. This case particularly applies to public figures such as politicians, artists, media figures, and influencers, and is also adopted by some institutions, departments, companies, organizations, in addition to a fair number of ordinary people. The second one, a virtual digital identity that does not reflect an exact image of our real one. In this case, people may use a fake name, a virtual photo, a different date of birth, gender, or nationality. This category applies to those who do not wish to reveal their true identity, whether to escape a certain reality they dislike because of professional, social, or religious hindrances, for fun and entertainment purposes, or in order to achieve goals that cannot be accomplished by revealing who they really are. The third one, a digital identity that is partly similar to our real identity, the other part being different. This is the case of persons who present themselves with their real name, age, and picture, but rather mask their opinions by expressing themselves differently on the internet than how they usually do in their everyday life. They hide an aspect of their truth, either because of the lack of courage to speak their mind, prompting them to hide behind screens and voice out their thoughts for psychological, social reasons, or in the case that their true identity does not fully resemble their inner selves. And in all three cases, the e-image we end up with is distinct from the real one, even in the above-mentioned first case. The digital identity has its pros and cons. Among its positive aspects are notably the following points. 1, knowing our worth and value as individual by existing on a larger platform, by enjoying a wider margin of freedom, and by having a greater ability to express our opinions and ourselves. 2, proving excellence or manifesting the image we choose for ourselves, though it may not be like our complex reality. 3, widening our network of connections and building new relations that go beyond any border in all corners of the world. 4, saving our digital activity. 5, making better impressions about ourselves and marketing who we are, whether on an individual level or at the corporate scale. 6, achieving economic development, especially for companies and institutions. 7, reducing paperwork, notably at the level of official departments. As for the negative aspects, it's worth mentioning the following. 1, being at the risk of a possible identity theft or hacking. 2, becoming the victim of scam or bullying. 3, having 2 identities and being in a state of estrangement from oneself with all subsequent psychological and social concerns. 4, losing real time and losing touch from the real world. 5, adopting imaginary characters such as avatars and other fantasy identities. 6, having less privacy and risks its violation. In conclusion, it is safe to say that we can no longer live with our real identity alone because the internet has become an organic part of our lives, and by keeping up, each one of us now has de facto 2 identities. It has been said, I think, therefore I am. But today, we can rather say, I exist with my virtual identity, therefore I am. But the main challenge remains in building and reshaping a new self in a way that makes us benefit from the positive aspects and still avoid the negatives, and in developing our societies and growing our economies based on both identities without estrangement from ourselves or from the new reality we face. It is thus important that by having 2 identities, we are still able to answer the ultimate question of who I am. We have to remain grounded and be authentic and in harmony with ourselves, and most of all, stay in touch with both our real and virtual identities. Let us embrace both words in image, sound, text, and personality, and let us put those means to serve the best of purposes instead of triggering more complications. Thank you.
Hopefully we're not going to lose our original identity, but surely we are leading an imaginary life in a way or another. طيب, well, شكرا جزيلا. حدا من المشاركين والطلاب عنده أي سؤال وخاصة؟ أيوة تفضلي ريم. ما عم نسمعك ريم.
I want to thank you for your words. We appreciate that you feel warmth in our university. I want to ask you, to what extent has the fragmentation of news consumption across various new media platforms impacted the formation of shared public narratives and common understanding of current events?
ريم تعيدي لنا السؤال بطريقة أبسط شوي وبالعربي. بالعربي لأنه هلا فينا كلنا نحكي بالعربي بما إنه بقينا بس Arab speakers يعني. وإذا بدك بساعدك فيه.
إلى أي مدى أثرت تجهيزات استهلاك الأخبار عبر مختلف منصات الإعلام الجديد على تشكيل الروايات العامة المشتركة والفهم المشترك؟ الفراجمنتيشن اللي صاير بين الأودينس على نيو ميديا بلاتفورمز، كيف هيدا رح يأثر على إنه يصير عنا روايات عامة مشتركة والفهم المشترك للأحداث الجارية بين بعض through this fragmentation of audience.
تمام ممتاز. هلا بتمنى يكون فهمت سؤالك. هلا بالنسبه انا حكيت انه دور السوشيال ميديا انه كيف ممكن ينشر اخبار خاصه بوقت الاحداث والازمات اللي هو بنعاني منها بسوريا وبمعظم الدول العربيه، وممكن هي الاخبار ما يكون فيها مصداقيه، وبنفس الوقت ما في اي كنترول او سيطره على نشر هيك نوع من الاخبار. فقديش ممكن أنا تشكل مثل ما قلتي إنه إعلام مشترك بهذا المعنى؟ أنا بعتبر إنه لا، ما حيكون هو وسيلة ليشكل إعلام مشترك، لأنه هو بالأصل نحن لسه موضوع المصداقية بوسائل الإعلام بالإعلام الجديد بالسوشيال ميديا لساتها هي تحت الشك يعني، فما حيكون هو وسيلة لهذا الاتجاه. فهمت سؤالك هيك صح؟ تمام، كل الشكر.
أي أسئلة أخرى؟ طلاب الإعلام؟ خلاص، لكن بدهم يفلوا طلاب الإعلام وأولهم العميد كمان بده يفل. شكرا جزيلا على كل النشاط اللي قدمتوه خلال أول يوم. شكرا للضيفات والضيوف اللي سبقونكم، والشكر الكبير بيرجع للطلاب والطالبات تبع كلية الإعلام.